Good afternoon, everyone. If I can get everyone's attention, please. My name is Marianela Franklin. I'm your Chief Sustainability Officer here at UTRGV, and we are delighted that you are all here with us this afternoon. Oh, it's not. So we are delighted to have you. We have some students who are going to be presenting their work today, and we are very, very proud of all the dedication and commitments they put together in presenting to you. Now, the presentations are in the form of a video, but we will have some of the students with us so that you have an opportunity to talk to them, to ask them questions. The first time is that we're able to have function live. Really, really happy to see you all. I'm not going to talk very much. Have Dr. Thomas Spencer here this afternoon. He's going to be the welcoming remarks. Would it be possible without research? You are funded incredibly over all the research that we have done. So thank you again for coming. And we will ask everyone to please silence their cell phones. And please, before we begin, please step up and grab yourself something to drink. We have some more tissues so that you can lay them well before you start.
Is it on? Okay. All right. And we're not kidding. Go get your coffee. Go get your go get your dessert. It's an afternoon. We really appreciate you coming out today, and so let's make sure we're all properly caffeinated. Um, so my name is Dr. Thomas Spencer. I'm the Associate Vice President for, and I'm excited to welcome you to the reception for the Graduate Sustainability Research Fellowship Program for 2022. UTRGV welcomed our first cohort in 2019, and now our students today are joining an alumnus of close to 60 students who have been awarded fellowships since then. And beyond. Understand that what they're doing today and what we're all helping them with will hopefully be for the remainder of their careers. It's providing a call to action to all countries and all levels of humanity, poor, rich, and everywhere in between. This impact, the in hand with strategies to build economic growth and societal needs, including health, societal production, job opportunities, all while tackling new problems and new opportunities that simply weren't defined as of even 10 years ago. It's all brand new, all just great opportunity. Now, I've had a chance to look at some of the work that they've done, and I've seen that their work crosses the boundaries of research, disaster preparedness, education, child marriage mitigation, and neurological research and improvement of neurological conditions. All of these may not be considered sustainable by people who are not familiar with the work that we do. However, these students and us, we're keenly aware that the sustainable work is done across silos, across organizations. As you listen today, as you watch the students present their work, I hope you work with this cohort and the previous cohorts to combine our efforts and push the boundaries of sustainable research. There's always an alarm. I love that. The pandemic has caused us to look in new and innovative ways and sustainability. Myself, personally, in spring of 2021, I worked for 9 months to support the Texas Discovery Gardens as a nonprofit native house in Dallas. Works to educate the ways of sustainable practices that can be done at home by normal average people. It's just, again, the way that we can do things. And the gardens are the first public garden in the state of Texas to be by the Texas Organic Research Center. They're maintained by sustainable methods to conserve water and help protect the environment. The team and I that I worked with were able to raise over $30,000 to help the Texas Discovery Gardens to share their mission and improve their infrastructure. Next round, interesting research. UTRGV has, as part of the strategic plan, research and creative works that improve the lives of people in the Rio Grande Valley and beyond. This fellowship is a staple to countless hours of commitment that you, the fellows, have committed to research, and it is grounded in sustainable development and improving the quality of life. Today is about you and the work that you've done, and it will impact you, and it will continue to impact the community and beyond. It is your responsibility to share your work, grow your professional networks, and demonstrate research can only be improved by understanding the impacts on societal advancement, environmental stewardship, and economic equality for all persons. It is a core value and one that must be protected at all costs. I'm looking forward to your presentations. Have a wonderful day, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your words, Dr. Spencer. Thank you, first and foremost, for your commitment, your support of this incredible program, and also for your insightful message, because we do believe sustainability to be a tool for success, not just of our students, but our communities at large. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about sustainability just for a few minutes before you hear the presentations from our students. We align sustainability with the 17 goals for sustainable development. First and foremost, it is still part of our mission statement. This is the new mission statement, the new strategic plan, and sustainable development is in alignment. It is part of our mission as a university. So this program is in alignment with that mission statement. So going to our 17 goals for sustainable development, the United Nations created these 17 goals back in 2015. These are goals that require a lot of work. And here at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, we have the opportunity to work on all 17 goals because we have the knowledge. It requires individuals that truly understand these issues to come up with the solutions. And most of our students and faculty have faced these problems themselves. And because of this, they have the opportunity to create those sustainable solutions. There's no one better to develop the solution, a sustainable solution, than those who actually understand the issues that we're facing. And many of our students in the presentations you're going to hear today are students who have a passion to actually contribute to these sustainable development goals. This is why they were selected among many students who applied to actually receive this award. We have limited funding, so it is something that we do on a yearly basis thanks to the support of Dr. Spencer and the research division. But these students that you are going to hear from are going to show you how they incorporated the formula of sustainability into their research. So when we discuss sustainability, when we talk about a sustainable solution and something that has a sustainable focus, it adds value to the research. And this is something that you're going to see in their presentations. Why? Because the students are asked not just to conduct the research with their advisors and to get the qualitative and quantitative data required for the research as they're guided by their advisors. They then work with us and they have to find the quantitative and qualitative data that requires them to answer 3 questions. What is the beneficial impact to society? What is the beneficial impact to the economy? And what is the beneficial impact to the environment? All 3 of those questions must be addressed in their work in order for their solution to whatever problem that they're trying to resolve is truly sustainable. If it's missing one of those 3, that solution is going to be a quick fix. It is not going to sustain its value. This is why sustainability is such a core value. It is a problem-solving approach. It is not recycling. It is not changing out light bulbs. Those are actions towards sustainable issues. A sustainable focused research project, a sustainable focused solution is one that addresses all three of those systems, the environmental, the social, and the economic system, in a positive way. If you can address all three, you're going to sustain quality. You're going to sustain the value of your work. So I want to thank you, everyone who is here today, and I especially want to thank our fellows. We have 4 fellows today that are going to be presenting. You're going to hear their video presentations. And I believe we begin with, if you can share the slide for me. We are going to begin with Saul Lopez, who is here with us this afternoon. Not all our fellows are here because some of them have actual finals today. And so even Saul has to run to Brownsville at 3 o'clock. So we're going to try to do this really quickly. But we are going to listen to Saul's presentation, and Saul related by defective NF1. So let's hear Saul's presentation, and we'll have an opportunity to maybe ask him a few questions right after the presentation. Thank you.
Will be presenting neurological disorders associated with defective myelin in aging NF1 mice. As I mentioned before, my name is Saul Lopez. Hello, my name is Saul Lopez. I will be presenting neurological disorders associated with defective myelin in aging NF1 mice. As I mentioned before, my name is Saul Lopez. I have a bachelor's in biomedical science, and right now I'm doing a master's in biochemistry and molecular biology. My research interests are in neuroscience. I love how complex and delicate the brain is, and one little change could have a number of consequences. So why is research into neurological disorders important? So I was going to start off by explaining what DOIs are, which are the years lost due to premature mortality and the years lived with a certain disability. Now, as far as globally, neurological disorders are the leading cause of DOIs, which amount to 276 million, and neurological disorder cause 9 million deaths, making them the second leading cause of death. As far as nationally, there are 3 neurological disorders that are the most burdensome in terms of DOIs, which is number 1 is stroke, number 2 is Alzheimer's disease and other dementias, and number 3 is migraine. Now, as far as regionally, there isn't enough data in DOIs and neurological disorders in the Rio Grande Valley. But what I found was that there is a growing aging population in the lower Rio Grande Valley. So why is this important? Well, the burden of all neurological which we studied neurofibromatosis type 1, which is a genetic disorder that is caused by the mutation of the NF1 gene. Now, NF1 patients suffer from a number of neurological disorders, such as learning deficit and increased risk of age-related dementia. Interestingly, NF1 patients present with multiple white matter and myelin abnormalities. What is white matter and what is myelin? So here I added a image, so you can see the outer parts of the brain is what it is considered gray matter, and white matter is in these regions right here. The white color is given off by myelin, which these cover the neuronal axons of neurons and increase the action potential propagation, as you can see here. This one. So whether and how NF1 is not known. So we wanted to study the links between NF1 mutation and learning issues in aging. So why did we decide to study this? As I stated before, whether and how myelin abnormalities impact learning and behavior in NF1 is not known. And the effects of NF1 mutation in the aging population still remains an enigma. So here is two methods that we used in our research project. As far as for the blue one, this one was used to study the 3-month-old and 13-month-old mice that had the NF1 mutation in all cells of their body. We introduced these mice into the complex wheel, which is a myelin-regulated test. We also use confocal imaging as well as cell quantification to study the numbers of specific cells, such as oligodendrocytes, which produce myelin, as well as OPCs, which become oligodendrocytes. We did an analysis of both cell quantification and the running wheel. As for the green protocol, this is for the mice that only have the NF1 mutation in oligodendrocytes. These mice are between 6 to 8 months. We treated them with tamoxifen to induce the mutation in only oligodendrocytes. We placed them in complex running wheels as well. We also did confocal imaging, cell quantification, and we did analysis as well. So for our results, I'm going to show you what we did. So we introduced the mice to the complex wheel for 14 nights, as you can see right here. Now, for these 14 nights, we did not see any significant difference in the learning abilities of the mice, as well as for max speed, activity, average speed, and activity. Now, after the 14 nights, we took them out of the complex wheel for 22 nights, and on the 36th night, we placed them back in the complex wheel to see if they could recall previously learned skills. Now, there's what we saw is that in distance right here, the 6 out of the 7 nights, there's a significant decrease in NF1 female mutants. Now, because they're having difficulties recalling what they had previously learned. Now, there is a lot of variables that go into distance, such as max speed, activity average speed, and activity. Now, we saw that in activity that the NF1 mutant females had a significant decrease in their activity. What we believe is that the activity is driving the decrease of distance ran by female NF1 mutants. We then studied the 13-month-old mice in the complex wheel. It is important to note that that in previous studies that the levels of OPCs of the 3-month-old NF1 mutants were significantly much higher than their wild type counterparts. Now, as these mice grow old, the levels of OPCs are significantly decreased compared to the wild types. This decrease is due to OPCs not being able to proliferate fast enough. So why is this important? So the proliferation and differentiation of OPCs is required for learning. So we hypothesized that the learning would be impaired when 13-month-old NF1 mice are introduced to the complex wheel for the first time. What did we see as we introduced the 13-month-old mice into the complex wheel for the 14 nights? We saw a significant decrease in their learning, as well as their max speed, activity speed, and as well as activity. All of these were different. So why we believe it was the oligodendrocytes and myelin having a role in learning. However, we cannot infer that the difference of learning is due to oligodendrocyte and myelin, because these mice have the NF1 mutation in all their cells. So in the next slide, we're going to be showing you what happens when you only induce the NF1 mutation in oligodendrocytes. As stated previously, we could not infer that the changes of learning in the aging mice were due to oligodendrocyte and myelin. So we decided to induce the NF1 mutation in oligodendrocytes of 6 to 8 month old mice, which are relatively younger than the 13-month-old mice. So our results showed that distance, max speed, activity average speed, and activity mirrors those that we obtained from the aging mice, the 13-month-old NF1 aging mice, in which that their learning was impacted when they were introduced to the complex wheel for the first 14 nights. So what our results suggest that that oligodendrocytes and myelin play a role in regulating learning. So what else do our findings suggest? Our findings also suggest that a novel AD and dementia model, which could be used from NF1 models, as well as in the future, new research can uncover the cellular and molecular mechanism to why these mice do not have good learning, as well as designing of new therapeutics for issues of learning and memory in aging individuals and NF1 patients, which could also be used in other disorders such as dementia. So what impact could our research have on the economic side of this? So the nine most common neurological disorders are estimated to cost around $789 billion a year. We hope that our research serves as a foundation in the development of therapeutics that could target a molecule involved in learning and memory issues. If there is a more effective treatment, this could result in the decrease of need of medical services, which could translate to the reduction of the economic burden, not only to the patient, but also to government programs such as Medicare and Medicaid. We hope that our research serves as a foundation in the development of a better treatment. If so, if there is a better treatment, it could help the NF1 patients finish their education and have a longer education. A longer education could also mean a bigger possibility of being employed. In this study here, 49% of NF1 patients reported being employed. And in the country that this study was done, the employment rate was 82%, which was in Canada. A better treatment may also cause the decrease of anxiety and depression, as well as the decrease of pain. So if you alleviate the burden on the patient, it could also translate in alleviating the burden to the caregiver. For example, the loss of work productivity, and as well as decrease the anxiety and depression. Now we look at the AD and dementia patients, another disease that shares learning and memory issues. You could also alleviate the pain of AD and dementia patients, as well as anxiety and depression, as well as reduce the loss of their jobs after initial diagnosis. Now, as the caregivers, maybe you can also reduce with a better treatment on AD patients, reduce the anxiety and depression of the caregivers, and also possibly reduce the amount of unpaid hours, because not everyone is a worker. It's a family member. Unpaid hours account for 177 billion hours only in Texas, and this amounts to 259 billion per year. A way in which pharmaceuticals find their way into our environment is through the patients themselves. So if there's a better treatment, which might reduce the need of medications that the patient has to take, so that will mean that the less medications they take, the less pharmaceuticals find their way into our environment, which means the reduction of the need of medication in the patient could also mean the reduction of the production of a certain medication, and those medications finding their ways into our environment. And as far as hospital visits, there's a decrease because there's a better treatment, which means that there's less hospital ways finding their way into the environment. I'd like to say thank you to the Office of Sustainability, the Office of Research, and in particular to Dr. Thomas Spencer for funding my studies here at UTRGV. And I also like to say thank you to Dr. Lopez for allowing me to do research in his lab.
Thank you so much. So before we ask questions, I would like to ask Dr. Lopez if he has any comments that he would like to give. Dr. Lopez, are you here with us? online. So could we hear from Dr. Lopez online?
Yes.
Dr. Lopez is
Can you hear me?
Saul's advisor. So Dr. Lopez, any words you'd like to share?
I'm just very proud of Saul, who has been working diligently. This kind of research is really involved. I would say that it needs a lot of commitment, and Saul has been doing a great job learning everything related to general lab work, then learning specifically neuroscience, and also contributing, because this as Saul was saying, all the benefits of the research are evident. The proposals are there, the hypotheses are there, everything is like in place to help patients, in this case of dementias and Alzheimer. But someone has to do the job. Someone has to really spend a lot of time studying, learning, and that is the first thing that I'm very proud of him. The second is that he's likely deciding to follow this path, and that makes me also very proud, because the commitment and the 4 years of research is like really the most noticeable thing. He loves research and he's committed with research, and he's going to follow a path in research. So that is a second way. Thank you. In terms of the research, well, Saul, and if he has some doubts about answering questions, I'm here to help him as always, and just saying congratulations, Saul, and the whole team of sustainability.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lopez, for being such an incredible advisor through this program as well. You've done an incredible job. We're very proud of Saul and very proud of the work he has accomplished, but we know he's done it in collaboration with you. So thank you as well for doing such an incredible job as an advisor through this process.
Thank you.
Saul, any words you'd like to share before we open up to Q&A? Do we have a microphone for Saul? Because we want to make sure everybody can hear you, Saul.
Just thank you for coming here, and as well as to the Office of Sustainability for helping me out throughout this year of research and guiding me as well as Dr. Lopez. I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to enter your lab, even though at the beginning I had little to no research experience. That's about it. If you guys have any questions, as well, Dr. Thomas Spencer. Thank you. If you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Does anyone have a question, Dr. Spencer?
Yes. Yes, we do plan on publishing. And yeah. Thank you.
Dr. Corrales?
So the learning process, as far as learning process, it was when I first entered the lab, I didn't have as much as research experience as I wanted to. So one of my first steps was actually to kind of defer the sustainability fellowship, because I wanted to learn the lab stuff first, so I could have a better project to present. So at times I was really nervous about learning new stuff. Right now I'm learning, not learning, but I'm getting more experience in confocal imaging with Dr. Lopez as well. And there's many other things that I'm hoping to learn in his lab. So yes. Any other questions?
I do, buddy.
Oh.
I think you had mentioned already to me, but what comes next?
Oh, so I'm planning on 2 PhD programs, and to see who who can accept me. And that's my goals from my short-term goals for now.
Saul, with the work you're doing, I don't think you're going to have any problem whatsoever in getting into a PhD program. Let's give Saul and Dr. Lopez another round of applause. Thank you so much. Saul, if you can stay with us a little longer, we're going to be giving out certificates to each of our fellows. And Saul has to run to Brownsville at 3 o'clock. So we're going to try to do this as quickly as possible so we can get to Saul's certificate here soon. Our next presentation, our next fellow, is Hillary number 11. And number 11 is Sustainable Cities and Communities. So Hillary has his project on disaster planning for people with disabilities in the Rio Grande Valley. I know that we have had projects before on disaster planning and disaster preparedness, but Hillary's project is specifically in line with people with disabilities. These are individuals we tend to forget about when it comes to disaster preparedness. They require a different set of practices and resources. And so he's done a phenomenal job in putting together a really great project and research on this. So do we have Hillary with us this afternoon? Is Hillary with us? Probably another one of our students with an exam, and his advisor. Do we have his advisor, Dr. Veronica? And I'm probably not going to pronounce this correctly. Umesiegbu, is that correct? Umesiegbu. So is Dr. Umesiegbu? Yes. Is she with us today? Wonderful.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here and I'm driving, and well, I became his advisor the last 5 weeks. So he has done substantial work before I came to be involved. So sometimes network cuts because I'm driving. So in case
we want you to be careful. We want you to be careful. So we're going to ask you to give comments after we hear his presentation. Maybe by then you won't be driving. And Dr. Umesiegbu, thank you so much for becoming his advisor. I know that Hillary had some difficulties and had to switch advisors in the middle of his program. So we thank you for doing such a wonderful job, because he also did a great job. And we're going to hear his presentation next. And when we're done with the presentation, we'll go back to you and hopefully you won't be driving anymore. Thank you.
My topic is on disaster planning for people with disabilities in Rio Grande Valley. I graduated from University of Texas Palmyra Basin with a bachelor's degree in exercise science and kinesiology. I'm an international student from Nigeria. I'm currently doing my master's degree in clinical rehabilitation and counseling. My research was inspired by a friend who has spinal cord injury and the challenges he faces. How would he prepare for an emergency crisis in case one arises? Through this project, a community or city can have better understanding about evacuation, as they will have detailed evacuation preparedness plan. They will also be able to know what to do in pre-crisis situation. Now, my objective of this presentation. At the end of this presentation, the audience will learn about disaster preparedness for people with disabilities in RGV. They will be able to know the social, economic, environmental impact of a person living with disability. We will also discuss the solution-focused implementation to have more inclusive preparation plans and policies for funding and coordination. Throughout my research, I decided to use the sustainable goal on sustainable cities and communities, which talks about involved reduction in number of deaths, decrease in economic losses, inclusive and accessible shelters during disaster. An overview of sustainable cities and communities. Before looking at the overview of disability in Texas, let's define disability. Disability is a physical or mental impairment that limits one or more major life activities. In Texas, the total number of people living with disabilities is about 61 million. It was reported that males in Texas have higher percentage of living with disability. We have different functional types of disability, which includes the cognitive, the sensory difficulty, independent living difficulty, and hearing difficulty. The cognitive deals with intelligence, intellectual mind. We have example like dyslexia, dysphoria, and so on. We also have the sensory difficulty. This is smell. Talk about hearing loss, vision, eye loss, self-care. We deal with physical, mental condition of a person. Based on this graph, the percentage of people with functional disability type occurs more with the mobility and cognition individuals. We also have different types of also minor forms of disability, which includes depression, obesity, smoke, diabetes, and heart disease. Now we'll look at disability in Rio Grande County. As earlier said before, the total number of adults living with disabilities in Texas is 61 million, which contains a percentage of 26%. Based on my research, Starr County has the highest number of disability in Rio Grande Valley with 16.4%, followed by the Willacy County with 15%, Hidalgo County with 13%, then Cameron County, which is lowest with 12%. Disaster occurs around the world, such as hurricane, flooding, tsunami, that led to the death of people, damage in houses, and damage in crops. Disaster has occurred more often in Rio Grande Valley. The following are disasters that has occurred in Rio Grande Valley, which includes the 1886 storm in Brownsville that was triggered by Hurricane Indianola, the Hurricane Allen that was occurred in Sao Padre Island and Lower Rio Grande Valley, Hurricane Anna, which occurred in Edinburgh, Hidalgo, and Cameron County, the tropical storm Emin in Rio Grande Valley, which actually killed 5 people and caused 240 million in damage. Hurricane Alex, which occurred in Nuevo Leon, Monterrey, and the Lower Rio Grande Valley. This is a brief chart on the billion-dollar weather and climate disaster that talks about the droughts, flooding, hurricane, tornado, and severe disaster that occurred in the US. In here, we have the Louisiana flooding that occurred on the 17th and 18th of May, the southern tornado and southeastern severe weather that occurred on the 2nd and 4th of May, the Hurricane Ida that occurred on the 29th of August, September 1st, Ohio Valley hailstorms, the eastern severe weather, the western wildfire that occurred last year in 2021, California flooding that led to the death of 5 people that occurred on 24th and 29th of January. I advise we should look at this for more information. Thank you. Disaster challenges for persons with a disability. Person with hearing disability might not be able to hear or get emergency alarms during an emergency situation. They have barrier to accessible emergency information during disaster. Ineffective communication, which is essential during emergencies, are rarely available to persons with disability. We could also add transportation is also another challenge for them. Moving from one place to another during a disaster can be something disastrous, or something as a problem as well. Economic impact of disaster. Hurricane Katrina is the 3rd deadliest and costliest hurricane in the US, which cost about $135 billion in damage. 90,000 individuals lost their jobs in 10 months, led to crop damage that cost about $177 million. There was also lost in wages that was about $29 billion. A brief graph on economic damage that occurred from natural disaster. The social impact of disaster. During the destruction of hurricane led to severe flooding. 200,000 residents abandoned their homes during the Hurricane Katrina. There was severe property damage that was estimated to be over $100 billion. The winter storm caused about the death of 100 people. Environmental impact of disaster. Hurricane Alan led to crop damage to about 177 million. 36% of livestock cost about $11 billion. The social, economic, and environmental impact of persons living with disability. 502,000 Americans lost their job as a result of Hurricane Katrina and Rita, which many were people with disabilities. 200 employment agencies lost their contact with clients with disabilities and took some time to resume activities. Healthcare was also an issue during that period. Healthcare is also an issue during for people with disability. Inability to access different healthcare centers is also a challenge for them. Weather Channel increased the amount of programming that were captioned, and emergency broadcasts that will also be sent to local areas that were affected by dangerous weather conditions. Recommendation. FEMA should require temporary housing, develop a communication plan to ensure people with disabilities are familiar with local emergency, include people with disabilities in emergency planning at all levels. Community-based organization should also donate resources such as wheelchair, medical supplies, disaster striking areas should coordinate federal agencies and national organizations to distribute supplies in an efficient manner. Also, need to practice emergency drill for the upcoming hurricane or any other natural or human-made disaster. So the 6th research-driven solution. The 6th research-driven solution focus intervention. First, we need to stay informed. Example, subscribe to newsletter from your health department, local disaster group such as the Disaster Right in Texas. Make a plan that's escape routes, family communication, special needs and utility shut-off and safety. Plan for all your medical needs, including prescription medication. Build an emergency kits, which must consist of important documents, prescription, medicine, and contact information, which could be placed in a plastic bag for better access. Consider transportation. Make a plan for a ride to a nearby shelter. Get involved in your community. In conclusion, adequate disaster planning for people with disability is very necessary. Plan will require understanding and an insight to the world of disability tools and adaptive skills of a disabled challenged individual, which is also very important in disaster management. Thank you for listening to my research work. We all have a good day. Thank you.
So if we can hear from Dr. and Umesiegbu. Yes, if we can hear from Dr. Umesiegbu. Is she still on the line with us? Are you still driving, Dr. Umesiegbu? I think she's driving. So let's give, is she there? Dr. Umesiegbu, we are finished with Hilary Abiagon's presentation. He did a wonderful job. I will share with the group that Hilary had a lot of technical issues and also some personal issues throughout the year, and in the process ended up also changing his advisor. We helped as much as we could, but I want to share with everyone here that it is very difficult to get data, local data, because the truth is, the agencies that report on disaster and that collect data on disaster are not collecting it in the Rio Grande Valley. So there is a lot of work to be done in this particular area, because there is not much data out there when you look at disasters that happen in the Rio Grande Valley. We can find the economic impacts of how much FEMA and the Red Cross and all of them share in terms of costs, but those costs are not complete. When we ask about individuals affected, they do not have a lot of information about how many individuals are being impacted in the Rio Grande Valley. So there's still a lot of work to be done in the area of disaster preparedness. It's hard for us to prepare if the agencies are not collecting the data, and it's hard for us to help our students with finding the data when those agencies, those big agencies that do this work, are not doing that part for us here locally. So we hope that in the near future, as we work more and more with sustainability fellows who have an interest in this area, that we're able to connect with those agencies and have those conversations. But Hillary did a fantastic job. In many cases, he's sharing national numbers or state numbers and not so much local, because it was hard to find the local content. But that also brings up another research topic, correct? Because there's information that we're lacking here in the Rio Grande Valley that's very important to this particular subject matter. But he did an incredible job, and we want to thank you. Are you there?
Yeah, hello?
Yes, if you want to say a few words about the project.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry for I had a planned trip before, I know that this has been scheduled for today. Now I wanted to say that I really love what you're doing. I think it's a very, very, very important program. And I didn't know about this program until I became Hillary's mentor, which is about 5 weeks ago. But I think this is really, really, really important. If I had been involved, I would have, tried to help him collect, primary data on this, so that we will learn more about what is going on in the Rio Grande Valley in terms of disaster planning for people with disability. So, but I think his presentation has shown, has shown what we are lacking, and which going forward, we really need to work on this area. So I thank the program for supporting him.
Thank you so much, Dr. Omesiagbu, and thank you so much for taking on the task of becoming his mentor and his advisor towards the end. He did a fantastic job, and I know that he acknowledges much of his work to those last 5 weeks where you helped him so much. So thank you. Let's give a big round of applause for Dr. Omesiagbu and for Hillary. Thank you so much. We are going to go to our next sustainability fellow, which is Mr. Shadman Saqib. He is a participant as a fellow, contributing to the goal, the Sustainable Development Goal number 3 for good health and well-being. His particular project is on triboelectric nanogenerator powered sensor for fetal monitor in high-risk pregnancy. I'm really excited about this particular project. Shadman is not with us this afternoon because he's actually taking a final at this moment. But he is working on a project that he is not done with. He plans to continue this project into his next year within his graduate program. But this one in particular is important to me because I'm an individual who lost I had 5 pregnancies and have 1 daughter because of high risk pregnancies. So this may not seem important to some of you, but for individuals like myself and for some of you who are young adults who will become mothers in the future or who may have siblings that, you know, will become mothers in the future, this is very high technology. This is something that will save lives, save many lives. And so I want you to pay attention. He is not finished with his work, so it is incomplete because this takes a lot of research. But he has gone as far as he could in 1 year of his fellowship and will continue this work throughout the next year. And he's very excited about his project as well. His advisor, can you go back 1 slide so I can share his advisors, Dr. Mohammed Uddin, Hasim Uddin, who has been one of our advisors in the Sustainability Fellowship Program now. I think for 3 or 4 years, he has had students in the fellowship because he does such a phenomenal job of making sure students know about this program. And so he is very good at finding students with specific areas of interest, and he has them apply. Sometimes it's very hard because we get about 10 or 12 applicants, all with Dr. Uddin as their advisor. And I'm like, how could you be advising this many students? It's incredible, but he does an incredible job. He has a true passion for mentoring and advising students. So I want to give Dr. Uddin a big thank you for that. He's not in the room with us today, and neither is Shadman, but we're going to hear his presentation, and then we'll move on to our last presenter after that. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shadman Sakim, and my project is the Fetal Health Monitor for the Sustainability Fellowship 2022. So for today, we have our agenda here for our talk. It'll be Meet the Fellow. We'll have an introduction, problem statement. We'll go over our device, the social, economic, environmental impacts, a summary, and future works. So let's meet the fellow. My name is Shadman Sakim. I'm the main researcher here. I'm a graduate student in mechanical engineering at UTRGV. I've always had a lifelong love for tinkering, solving problems, and caring for others in multiple ways, many family members with disabilities, and other health issues as well. I had the privilege of working with Dr. Mohammed Yunus when I was back in Bangladesh. I saw the many impacts of climate change on the people living in Bangladesh through different organizations that we're working with, an NGO, World Savvy, and the State Department. My sister-in-law also had her first miscarriage a few years ago, and she's continuing to try again and is expecting very soon. Going on to maternal risk factors, every year around 140 million babies are born, with approximately 20 infant deaths per every 1,000 babies born globally. There are many risk factors associated with these infant deaths, but many of them they're attributed to geriatric pregnancies, hypertension, diabetes, and many other risk factors. All of these are being more and more prevalent in our modern day society as we're seeing many more shifts to global consumerism and modern technology and modern medicine, which has been allowing women to have babies later in life. However, the increase of all of these maternal risk factors has also increased the likelihood for any infant mortalities, and this infant mortality rate could still be decreased. Currently, around 1 in 18 infant deaths worldwide are due to congenital heart disease or any other heart defects. Going over maternal health at a glance, we have very biased health care system in America currently. More women are, less women are insured through their jobs compared to men. And women often have to pay higher premiums and higher insurance costs when they do go see a doctor. Overall, in 2022, U.S. infant mortality rates were lower than the global one of 20 deaths per thousand at a rate of 5.547 deaths per thousand. However, that is still too high, we believe. And congenital heart defects are the main cause of infant mortality in the U.S. Texas itself was experiencing 1,946 cases of infant mortality in the year 2020. Now, through our project, we help to aim to serve this middle group of people who may be uninsured or underinsured by the current health system. And because of those gaps, we try to come in and see where we can help with that. Currently, this graph shows the levels of infant mortality by country in the top 20 countries with infant mortality worldwide. Again, we can never put a price on a life. However, one metric to gauge is someone's tax contribution over their lifetime, which is around $52,000 for the average U.S. individual. Now, let's introduce what we're going to go into with this project. So we're all born into this world. We all have mothers, and we're born into a very technology-savvy and globalized world right now. But there are many challenges that come with this. Obesity, hypertension, diabetes, stress, many other challenges have been plaguing our society nowadays. This and many other risk factors also lead to many challenges for mothers who are expecting in these times. Currently, these are some U.S. prenatal, neonatal, and fetal mortality rates in recent years. Again, this can also be attributed to high-risk pregnancies, which are becoming more and more prevalent worldwide as well. Climate change isn't slowing down for anyone either, and this has led to many other disparages in global catastrophes, natural disasters, and even with COVID-19 as another pandemic that has plagued the world. It has also shown many of the disparities in the current healthcare system in America, where we had almost 12 million Americans lost their health insurance over the pandemic years. Now, our problem statement, what we have here is a device that can hopefully help to work with modern technology and modern medicine and many of these advancements to help treat and work with many expectant mothers who are having high-risk pregnancies. We want to help and get them the quality care that they need and they deserve to help reduce infant mortalities, so fewer and fewer babies have to die. Now, our device is a fetal health monitor. It will work as either a fabric or wearable device that can be worn on expecting mother's belly. Through there, it will be able to detect wirelessly all the baby's vital signs and be able to relay that to a personal device. This device can then communicate back with the internet or cell phone towers and then go to the physician's care or research system. There it can be read by any care team member or physician that has access to this data. Ours would basically be a waistband made of natural material, which would be engineered to give the optimal comfort to the mother in our design, as well as giving her the peace of mind that she needs in this very stressful time that she's going to be experiencing. It is a life-changing moment, and during this time, it helps to know that there's people around you. And through our device, we help to bring that team of people even closer together with the seamless connectivity of all of these devices and all of these people that go behind this. And hopefully this device will be able to detect any early signs of congenital heart defects or any other defects early on, and be able to take preventative or interventive action to help combat this. There are many social aspects that go into designing any new device. One thing that this should be attributed to is that we want to allow mothers more access to quality health care. And through this device, working with different insurance providers and working with different healthcare teams, we hope to address many of those vulnerabilities that many mothers are facing, especially those who have a high-risk pregnancy. There's also many stigma associated with both the mothers and the children in these cases, and hopefully we get to address some of those concerns through them. Through this increased access to a healthcare team, we hope to decrease any health disparities and increase healthcare equity for all mothers. Again, we want to create a sustainable device, and through that, we want to incorporate those key ethos of an environmentally sustainable device and design throughout the entire process. So from beginning to end, we want to make sure that it is natural, made with natural materials, it is responsibly sourced using green manufacturing and less harmful chemicals than any other, like battery acids or any other materials out there. It should be a self-powered, sustainable device that can run on its own daily movements from the mother herself. That way, it would not need to rely on any other harsh chemicals that could create any other like medical or any other kind of chemical waste in the process. Economically, again, this device would be able to help save many lives. Again, many millions of babies are born every year. However, so many of them have to end their lives early because of many congenital heart defects or any other kind of defects early on. We want to target the main cause of infant mortality, which is congenital heart defects, and through that we hope to decrease global and national infant mortality rates. Now, economically, what does that mean? That means that through our device, we hope to create a new company. This company would be able to work with any mothers and expecting mothers to both work with their insurance providers and the entire community involved behind that. So as with any other company, it is anticipated to create some new jobs, to create more investments, and create more consumer spending in that area, as well as to reduce land waste or medical waste as well. And by sparing up that land, we also open that up for any other purposes, for either other businesses, for other homeowners, and many other uses as well. Now, in summary, a mother's health is going to be key to any baby's health, and we want to keep mothers safe to help keep their baby safe. Now, the UN Sustainable Development Goals target maternal health include Goal 3.1, which aims for a global average of less than 70 infant deaths per 100,000 births by the year 2030. And Sustainable Development Goal 3.8, which is calling for the achievement of universal health coverage. A total of 19,582 deaths occurred in children under 1 year old in the 1 year old age range in the United States in 2020. Many of these could have been prevented if they were given quality care in the right time. In the future works, we hope to create a B Corporation, something similar to maybe Seventh Generation you may have heard. These are corporations that operate just like any other business. However, they also have a social issue that they're also tackling. And in that case, ours would be helping disenfranchised or disadvantaged women who are facing these high-risk pregnancies and giving them the quality care they need through both having our device to help with their day-to-day, as well as the access to all the resources that we can provide after they get one of our devices. Here are my references online, and thank you again for your time, and thank you again for coming here today. Have a great day.
We want to congratulate Shadman and also his advisor, Dr. Udin, for such an incredible project. I know they're still working on the project. There's a few metrics that were not included here because they needed to keep their presentation within the 10 minutes, but we hope to include them when we post their presentation on the website. It was difficult to get metrics as well here locally. Some of the agencies are very protective when you ask questions about childhood mortality. They did not want to share the information. I tried and they wouldn't share it with me. And so I'm not quite sure. I'm going to need to speak to a couple of professors on what avenue, who do we need to speak to get this data when it comes to research, because it is important for the sake of research. But we're going to pause for a second before we hear the last presentation, because we would like to provide a certificate and an award to Saul Lopez before he leaves to his class in Brownsville. So I'm going to ask Dr. Spencer if he could join me and our photographer to take a picture very quick before we hear the last presentation. Just one moment. Into the center. So Saul, we are very proud of your work, and we want to present a little bit your certificate of completion in the program. We're very proud of you. So last but not least, we want to share with you our last presentation, and it is from Suchrita Acharjee. And Suchrita, I believe, is with us this afternoon. There you are, Suchitra. I always get it wrong, Suchitra. I need to repeat it like 7 times and I'll get it right. Suchitra, I always get this. It's not easy for us when we don't get to see you on a regular basis, but we thank you for being with us, Suchitra, and her advisor is Dr. Aziza Semrani, who I know is a dear friend. We've been working together for many years, and she is online, correct? So first we're going to hear from Suchitra, who has a project. And I want to thank Dr. Semrani because she did an incredible job also as an advisor. We hope to see more of her students in the fellowship. And so we're going to hear this last presentation, and then we'll hear from Dr. Semrani. And we're also going to hear some closing remarks from Dr. Saigon. So please don't leave us. We still have more to come after this presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my presentation for the Graduate Sustainability Research Fellowship. Vaqueros for Sustainability. I believe as vaqueros and as global citizens, we should not only talk about the Sustainable Development Goals, but also think of ways where we can better implement the goals to solve any problem that is holding us back from achieving a sustainable future for our planet, for us, and for our future generation. And my goal for this presentation is not only to give you facts, but also raise awareness about a global concern that needs to be addressed. So I'm thankful to the Office for Sustainability for giving me that opportunity, and also grateful to my research advisor, Dr. Aziza Semrani, for helping me along the way. Before diving into my presentation, I would like to take this opportunity to share a little about who I am and where I come from. My name is Suchitra Acharjee and I'm currently a graduate student at ETRGV, pursuing the Master of Public Affairs degree in Public Administration. I've also earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Economics from the Asian University for Women. And I come from Bangladesh, a South Asian country. It is also a member state of United Nations and has adopted the Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. Since then, Bangladesh has made great progress to graduate from a least developed country to a developing country by 2025. But still, there are challenges pending that has grown in significance during the COVID-19 pandemic, which leads to my research topic, Building a Sustainable Future for Girls. Invest in education to prevent an increase of child marriage in rural areas of Bangladesh and foster SDG 4. You may be wondering, what does a sustainable future for a girl look like? It is a balanced and equal environment where a girl will have fair and impartial access to education, will have the equal opportunity to participate in the workforce along with men, and also will have the power of leadership and decision making not only for herself but also for her community and beyond. Unfortunately, we live in a world where gender equality is yet to be achieved in any country, and Bangladesh is no different. One of the greatest challenges to gender equality in the developing countries is child marriage. UNICEF defines child marriage as any formal or informal union between a child under the age of 18 with an adult or another child. It is not only a violation of children's human rights but also gender-based violation that robs girls aged between 11 to 17 years old from their opportunity to education and growth. Here is a picture of a 14-year-old girl getting married during the COVID-19 pandemic in Bangladesh. Several reports state that child marriage has doubled during the pandemic and the world has seen the greatest increase in child marriage in 25 years. Which is a great obstacle to achieving Sustainable Development Goal 4, ensuring quality education for everyone, and Sustainable Goal 5, ensuring gender equality by 2030. How? When a girl gets married at an age when she should be in school, her role changes from a student to a housewife, causing her dropping out from school. And when a girl drops out from school, it has greater social, economical, and environmental impact because she is not only getting deprived of her educational attainment, but also oftentimes child brides fall victim to domestic violence. Secondly, when she is fulfilling her role as a housewife, she is being involved in unpaid care work, which not only creates economical inequality at family level, but also at community level because she is not participating in the workforce. Furthermore, right after her marriage, she is expected to have babies, which contributes to the higher rate of adolescent fertility rate, causing high population growth that has impact on climate change. According to UNICEF, globally more than 1 in 5 girls are married before their 18th birthday. That's one young girl married every 3 seconds. Currently, the world has 650 million girls and women alive today were married as children. That means 12 million girls under 18 are married each year. 5 countries are accountable for this number and one of them is Bangladesh. And COVID-19 has been a cherry on top because it has created a situation where more than 110 million girls will be at risk for child marriage by 2030. During the COVID-19 pandemic, South Asia had the highest rate of child marriage. Consequently, Bangladesh has the highest prevalence of child marriage in South Asia and is among the top 10 countries worldwide with the highest level. During the pandemic, Bangladesh had a 13% increase in child marriage, which affected 37 million children in the country. And report says that most of the child marriage cases happen in the rural areas. Although previous literature reviews has focused onto the consequences and determinants of child marriage in general, and very few literature have talked about child marriage in rural areas, it didn't actually address the educational gap between urban and rural areas. So to find out if there is any educational gap between urban and rural areas that is causing the child marriage increase in rural areas, I have set out 5 research questions. My first research question addressed the difference in child marriage rates between urban and rural areas. As you can see from the graph, rural areas has higher rates than urban areas in both the category of married before 15 and married before 18. The second research question focuses on the drivers of child marriage, specifically in rural areas. For this, we have jotted down 4 main categories that lead to child marriage. First one is poverty and economic factors of the families. Second one is lack of educational opportunities in rural areas. And third one is social norms and attitudes among the community. And the fourth and the most important one is lack of agency among the young girls in rural areas. The third research question tries to find out why rural areas have higher rates in child marriage than urban areas. For this, we have found 3 main reasons. First one is population. As we can see from the bar chart here, rural areas account for 78% of the whole population, whereas urban areas only account for 27%. Secondly, there is an economic difference between the people living in the rural and urban areas. As we can see from the bar chart here, most of the people living in the rural areas are poor. On the other hand, most of the people living in the urban areas are rich, which tells us that wealth status is a factor in terms of child marriage. Thirdly, there is an educational completion inequality between the girls of rural and urban areas. In terms of primary education, it's almost the same because primary education is free. But when it comes to higher secondary education completion, we can see that urban areas have higher rates than rural areas. Even though population is higher in rural areas, girls in the urban areas are more likely to attend higher education than the girls in the rural areas. The fourth research question investigates the relationship between child marriage and school dropout. We can see from the graph here that child marriage and school dropout has a positive relationship. When the age of the girl increases, so does the school dropout rate. It tells us that when girls get married at an early age, for example from 11 to 17, it results into their school dropout. The final research question finds out the skill gap between urban and rural areas. As we can see from the bar chart here, in all 3 categories, for example ICT, reading and numeracy skills, girls in the urban areas have higher rates than the girls in the rural areas, even though the population in rural areas is higher than urban areas. So how can we reduce the educational gap in urban and rural areas? For that, a systematic and collective approach has to be followed, taking into consideration SDG 4 quality education and SDG 17 partnership for the goal. And a balanced partnership is required both from government and non-governmental agencies to create resources and build institutional structure for girls in the rural areas, to empower them and help them to build a sense of agency. This sense of agency will help them to stand up for themselves and seek help whenever needed. Government have to invest more in rural areas to build sustainable school and supply quality teachers, as well as they have to pay more attention to strengthen laws and policies in the rural areas. I have read somewhere that education is not the learning of facts, but the training of mind to think. And the non-governmental agencies such as industry, NGO, and INGO have the power to provide life skill training, mentorship program, and create youth-led volunteer programs for the girls so that they can get value-based, non-formal education that will inspire them to thrive as a whole person and have the power of decision making. If we are successful to implement this combined approach, it will help us to achieve two goals at one target. Fostering SDG 4 in rural areas will eventually help to prevent child marriage. Evidence shows that the likelihood of a girl marrying as a child is 6% points less for every additional year she stays in secondary education. Not only that, but fostering SDG 4 will help us to achieve all other 16 goals because education is the basis of everything. SDG 4 is directly linked with SDG 5, 8, 9, 10 and 11 and indirectly linked with all other goals. So it is imperative to ensure quality education for everyone. And this will also have positive social and economical impact because education reduces poverty and increases income. Evidence shows that one extra year of schooling increases earning by 10% for individuals and 20% for women. Again, it will also have positive environmental impact because education increases environmental concern. A study of 29 countries found the percentage of people concerned about environment increases with education. For example, 25% with less than secondary education, 37% with secondary education, and 46% with tertiary education. I would like to end this presentation by sharing a quote from Bangladesh Rural Advancement Committee. It is the largest NGO in Bangladesh. They say that effective development is dependent on human development, and human development is in turn dependent on education. Broad-based literacy has been one of the most important enabling factors in the economic success of newly developing countries. Health improvements and birth rate reduction also depend on literacy, particularly among women. So, if we want to achieve a sustainable future and a sustainable world, we cannot risk leaving girls behind the world. With that being said, thank you so much for listening to my presentation.
Suchitra, congratulations. What an incredible presentation. What incredible information you've provided us, bringing so much awareness, so many facts that we did not know. And we wish you just great success as you move forward with your work. I want to allow a little bit of time to Dr. Semrani so that she can say a few words. Dr. Semrani, are you with us?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Franklin, for the opportunity given to our student. I'm in a noisy area, but I would like to thank the Sustainability Office for all the hard work. This is a teamwork, but the mentoring and monitoring of our student success. And you know that I am so proud of the achievement of our student, and I can tell you that she has been already accepted, Dr. Spencer, she has been already accepted to present at the national conference in March 2023. So this is the impact we are making in the life of our students. I start working with Suchitra July 2021, before even she came to UT RGV. And thanks to you, Ms. Franklin, and to your team, and to UT RGV, you know the impact you make on the life of this student, and I join you to say we wish her the best of luck to continue with her journey for a PhD. Thank you so much. I know in the sake of time, I'm going to stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Semrani. Thank you, Suchitra. We're going to continue with the program, but for those of you who have questions for Suchitra, we're going to ask you to stick around because she's here. We do need to wrap up, and we have a few other things, a few other thank yous. Thank you again. A big round of applause one more time for Suchitra and for Dr. Semrani. So we do have closing remarks from Dr. John Saigon, and he is our new Executive Vice President for Research, and he was unable to make it today because he's actually on the committee for the selection of the new provost, which they're interviewing several individuals at the moment. But he did want to provide closing remarks and a big congratulations to all our fellows. So we're going to hear a few minutes of his video, and then we're going to share a few more thank yous to a couple other individuals who are key components of this incredible program. You could take it away. Thank you.
Good afternoon, dear students, faculty members, staff members. I'm very glad to be part of this event. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it in person due to other commitments, but I definitely wanted to reach out to you with this message here. My name is John Saigon. I'm the Senior Vice President for Research and Dean of the Graduate College. And I would like to chime in a little bit about sustainability research and how it affects overall our quality of life. Research in general is pushing the boundaries between the known and unknown and pushing it towards unknown so that unknown becomes known with the objective of improving the quality of life. It could be any technological advancement. It could be related to other areas of sciences, but at the end of the day, it has a certain visible impact on our lives. So it's a very key component of how we live, how we basically pass from generation to generation what we do, and we improve the things that we have in our lives with our families and communities and globally. So where you draw the line between where it impacts can vary. It could be at a very myopic level, it could be very high level, but I personally think it's important to have a global perspective when we define research and the expected deliverables. In general, sustainability to me is it's our security for our future, for a safe future where we can actually continue to live our lives at the level that we want to live, but not in a very selfish way where we actually consider the other generations to come. So in other words, in order to continue the quality of life, we need to think about what that quality means. It can't be just us consuming the resources and not leaving enough for the generations to come after us. So within UTRGV, as Dr. Bailey always says, having a social impact, a societal impact in our community is very important. And to have that impact, you have to look at the two primary pillars of any higher institution. That's teaching and research. So when you combine the two together, that's basically building those foundation pieces that will actually create that safe future. It could be workforce development, it could be any kind of financial security for future, but overall, you're looking into the future. So sustainability from that perspective, you have to bring it to whatever research you're doing, because it has to have a futuristic look in your research model so that it brings what can go wrong or what should go in what direction into today, so that the research will have an impact not only for today but also for future. I think the concept of sustainability, we always hear it on and off, but the issue with sustainability is to make it such that it becomes part of your life, so that it becomes natural when you're living your life at the level that you want it to live, as I've explained. So the fellowship here and all of these efforts built around the concept of sustainability are actually constant reminders to all of us that we hear about it, and people use different aspects of sustainability. So it basically becomes ingrained in our brains what sustainability should mean and what we should be actually concerned about when sustainability concept is put on the table. So I think UTRGV is very vocal about it. And but part of it is, to me, is bringing what it means and then what we actually do about it. Awareness is one thing, but taking very proactive action and making it happen is another thing. So I think these type of fellowships will take us to that level where the actions will speak for themselves when it comes to sustainability. So at this point, I'd like to congratulate those fellows who've been through this program. Your mission is actually starting now. You're not done. You're just starting to, with a new mission to spread the word and bring sustainability and that awareness to any community that you will be part of in your professional life, in your personal life. So with that, I wish you the best. I want you to carry the flag and communicate the message so that you make the life that we live in the communities much better, much more sustainable. And that's what we owe to the generations to come. So congratulations again.
I know that we are over time, but we cannot leave without first introducing you to our next fellows, the fellows that we are working with today that you will be hearing from next semester. And so can you put that slide up for me, Jeremy? Our next fellows. There we are. So we have an incredible group of fellows who are working on projects from all disciplines, and we want you to join us again next semester as you hear their presentations. It is quite a large group, so we might have to split it up into 2 days or something, I'm not sure, or our presentations may go down from 10 minutes to 5 minutes just so that we can hear from each and every one of them. But we have an incredible group, and I cannot leave without saying thank you to the individuals that are behind the scenes working with these students, working on this program, which are Mr. Jeremy San Miguel, who leads this program. Jeremy, please stand. Jeremy is like the sustainability advisor to all these students. So they have their faculty advisors, but on the sustainability side, Mr. Jeremy San Miguel has taken the lead on basically leading these students through this program. And just a few months ago, we had Ms. Jacqueline Hernandez join our team, and she is now assisting Jeremy in the program. So some of you may start to see Jacqueline instead of Jeremy, or both Jacqueline and Jeremy. You know, they tag team sometimes, and they're doing a phenomenal job. And I just want to say thank you to both of them. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all your wonderful work. We also want to thank Rosalinda Salazar, Stephanie Ruiz, and Obed Vela from the Office of Research. We couldn't do this without their assistance. They process all the paperwork. You have no idea how much paperwork there is in doing all this. They process all the paperwork so our students can get approved. You know, they get their award letters from them, and they also process the paperwork to make sure the students are paid, because this fellowship is a paid fellowship. It is $7,500 for 2 semesters. It's divided up into 2 semesters, but that's towards their tuition. So for those of you who are here who have not applied for the fellowship, if you qualify, please do so. You will probably have an opportunity to do that this summer, because the next fellowship does not begin until the fall. And for the faculty who are here who have not been advisors, you also need to consider nominating a student and becoming an advisor to a student that may want to pursue a sustainability fellowship. I also want to give a big thank you to Dr. Samantha Lopez, who also helps us tremendously in processing paperwork for all our international students who apply to this program. Thank you, Dr. Lopez. She recently had an event that showcased many of our students and those that are international, and the incredible work that they're doing as well. So I can't thank you enough for all the help, you know, that you've provided in this program as well. Thank you, Jeremy. And last but not least, just as closing remarks, on behalf of myself and I believe also Dr. Spencer, we just want to say thank you. We know this was very lengthy, but we're just so proud of our students. We wanted to give you the opportunity to really hear from them and their incredible projects and the advisors who helped them through this process. And we hope you will join us again next semester as we hear from the next group of Sustainability Fellows. Congratulations to you all. And I'm going to ask Suchitra to come up because we're going to give you your certificate and take a photograph with you as well. Thank you all so much for being here.